Domo arigato. Here's your look at the Mattel Master Universe Origins Roboto. Modernizing and celebrating the original 80s Master Universe action figures. Master Universe Origins gives you the power to pose Eternia's greatest warriors as retro-style figures, or in the new action-packed battle positions. Before we get a closer look at the president of the Styx fan club, nobody's going to get that reference, we're going to first figure out how tall Roboto stands by taking the tape measure right to the very top of his head. I'm going to stop it right there. According to the readouts, Roboto stands 6.3 inches in height. Quickly switching that to centimeters, revealing quickly to you, the viewing audience, the figure stands 16 centimeters tall. Let's proceed by bringing in some stuff. Previous looked at figures. Let's first bring in He-Man. We can also bring in Man-at-Arms. We can bring in the recently looked at Zodak. Good old Zodak. Get him to properly stand. There we go. And we can also bring in Tila. Through the process of bringing in all these figures for some size comparisons, poor Roboto has been blocked. Let's just move everything over. There we go. Give you guys an idea of how tall Roboto is versus some of the other Master Universe figures we've already had a look at. Carrying on the same trend, Roboto comes included with a comic book. Yes, in fact, 3 of a kind. He comes with the exact same comic book as shown with all the other figures that we've been looking at as part of this wave. You know that by now. I'm sure I've stressed that to death. Same comic. So, I mean, again, if you want to be the most popular person in the whole neighborhood, you just hand these things out to the kids. Just the kids walking by. Here, have a comic book. Have a comic book. Hey, you, have a comic book. Oh, no, it's that guy throwing out comic books. Here, have a comic book. You will have enough, certainly, of these to be sharing them around, unless you are somebody that considers yourself a hoarder of mini comics. Then boo to you, sir. You be sharing the wealth. Don't be keeping it to yourself. But again, like all the comic, we'll quickly flip through it. The artwork is quite good, featuring all the characters that we will be looking at in this wave. She-Ra is the only one that we have yet to look at in this wave. But yeah, all the same comic, with the featured characters, of course, on the back. Going to put that to the side. He comes also included with some arm attachments, because, as I'm sure you're probably seeing right now, he is without hand on one side. He does come included with several different attachments, similar to that of Trapjaw. Now, the thing about this, I just want to hold these up one at a time so you guys can get a good gander at the things he comes included with. He comes with like a double-bladed axe. Futuristic in design, molded in this kind of marbled silver plastic. Slightly warped, I would say. Probably going to have to heat that up, I suspect. He comes also with a dual-barreled blaster. Laser variety, I'm sure. You can see certainly a lot more of the marbling happening here. While it was just a little bit on the axe, there is a lot more generous amounts of marbling, not intended, I'm sure, stretched across this entire mold. Sort of jarring a bit. You look at it, it kind of looks like the blaster is cracked. It isn't. It's just the way that the plastic is. And then last and certainly not least, he comes included with a claw. The claw. None of these are functioning in the sense that you can't open and close this. It's just molded plastic. The thing about it, though, is if you hold all 3 up, as I'm going to do my best to do in this part of this review, it almost seems like the plastic is a different color. Now, it could simply just be the outcome of the way that they've molded the plastic, but they all seem to have almost a different shade of silver, this being the more silver of the variety. I don't know. This could be my eyes, my old man eyes playing tricks on me. It does come included with those, and they essentially work the exact same way as Trapjaw, so you can get yourself a little hole on the end, telling us it's R. That's right. We're going to go ahead and take the axe. The axe plugs into place, just like that, depending on which way you want to have it. The exact same thing works for the claw. The claw. There we go. And last, but certainly not least, the double-barreled blaster laser variety. Pew, 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 pew. Probably my favorite of the batch. Likely they're going to be the one that's going to stay, I think, on the socket of Mr. Roboto here. Roboto. So he does come included with those. Maybe I'll just do my best to kind of keep that on his arm for the time being. Hopefully, I'm not going to regret that decision. Now, one of the gimmicks, of course, that go along with Roboto is the fact that he does have working gears on the inside of his torso. I really like the fact that the torso is clear, similar to the original vintage figure, but there's all these little gears. And similar to that old original vintage figure, when you rotate it, not only do the gears turn, but his mouth does also open and close as well. Yum, 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 yum. Looks like he's trying to eat. I seem to recall the original vintage figure having a heart on the inside. No heart present here, but you do get yourself that center cog wheel and then two smaller ones on either side. Technically, there's also a white one on the back there as well. It's an effective way of displaying the figure, and I like the fact that there is at least a working gimmick incorporated into it. Nom, 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 nom. I don't know why, for some strange reason, looking at Roboto here, it reminds me of a cover of an NES game. Completely made up game. I'm sure one does not exist, but it would probably involve some futuristic sports, like a futuristic sports baseball title. That's what I would imagine this character, or a futuristic, maybe football title. There's what it looks like on the back. I'll give you guys, again, an idea of how everything attaches to place. It's rather interesting when you see the inside of that. Now, of course, these arms can be detached, like so. And again, you can mix and match these if you wanted to. But it's interesting that you can see they've included a more solid plastic piece on the inside, instead of having to rely on pegging this into the clear plastic, which I'm sure would be guaranteeing some problems down the road. Just pop that back into place. The head sculpt is really good. Again, kind of looks like a futuristic quarterback. I do like the idea that, again, the mouth does open and close. Very little paint applied here. Obviously, the lower mouth is just molded red plastic. And then the top part, I'm sure, if anything, the visor end of his head is about the only thing that's been painted on this figure. All the rest of it is really just constructed. Well, that's not true. That's not true. Majority of it is constructed in just the plastic that it comes presented as. But there are, yeah, obviously some places that they painted in. Like, for example, the areas on his legs. Carried over. I think this is going to be the same one that's going to be used for Many Faces. I think Many Faces has a lot of these similar molds being used. The torso area is rather interesting. It's kind of a darker, kind of brownish burgundy. Unfortunately, I find like the torso for Roboto here is a little on the loose side. Again, you can remove this if you want to and mix and match these. But you know, if you do want to change that, there's the option available for you. Speaking of the coloring, though, the painted nature of the figure, there's this darker red that's down below on the lower end of his hand. Let's ignore the fact that his hand is extremely warped. Look at the fingers on that. I'm going to have to heat that up, I think, and try to bend this one finger back into place. But I'm getting sidetracked here. The red, unfortunately, isn't same color as the hand. It doesn't quite jive, but it's pretty close, I suppose. I do like the detailing done to the sides of his arms. Lots of cool-looking sculpt that they incorporated on both sides. And again, if you really wanted to have like a robotic-armed He-Man, why not? You just rip these out of the sockets. Don't worry, I'm sure Roboto doesn't feel it. And then you could switch that out with He-Man. That's pretty cool. Lower on the legs. Of course, again, the problem with this silver, it seems to be most susceptible when it comes to this marbling. You see a lot of it here happening on the feet. And again, like when you're looking at the feet versus the rest of the legs, it seems like it's almost a different silver altogether. I mean, if you look at it, here, and here mimic almost that of the arm attachments. They almost seem like they're a different color altogether. See? I don't know. Is it my eyes? Is it just my old man eyes? It's possible. Maybe I need Roboto's eyes in order to possibly see those better. For the articulation here on Mr. Roboto, I feel so inclined to just keep calling him Mr. Roboto. I won't, though. His head rotates back and forth. One thing I do like about the gimmick, though, is even if you rotate the head this way, the gimmick still works. It doesn't tell you it has to be locked, say, like this for the functioning gimmick to work. If you wanted to, you can rotate it either way, and it still works perfectly fine, like that. The arms hinge out. A very comfortable, robotic 90-degree angle bend. You can also rotate the arms all the way around. He has a bend at the elbow. You can rotate the forearm, and I guess to some extent, whatever hand attachment you decide to go with, can also rotate as well. The other hand also does the exact same thing as well. You can bend that back and forth. You can't do that on this side, obviously. He has a waist swivel, but it also serves as the gimmick for the figure, the sole gimmick for the figure. His legs split out. You can move forward and back on the legs. He has a bend at the knee. And he does have articulation in the foot, back and forth, up and down as well. And then again, if you do want to have, say, decide for yourself, you want to have him in a more retro pose, you can just bend those legs forward. I don't know, I always sound like I'm just sort of totally downplaying this. I guess in a way I am. I mean, literally, you're just bending the figure's knees, and then you're marketing that as vintage posing. Anyways, it almost seems interesting as well, like the lower end of his leg. There's articulation there. I don't really know why it needed to be there. I guess because here, after all, at the top, normally the figures end up having that cut down below. Skeletor has it like in his boots. Beastman has it lower down on his calf, and I guess Mr. Roboto here, gotta stop calling him Mr. Roboto, does have that swivel. It just sort of does break it up, and it looks like you almost then could pop this out and replace it for something else, like wheels. Oh, that would be fun. But no, that's not the case. You can't do that. You can't give Roboto here wheels. He's a good-looking figure. I do like the design of Roboto, one of those characters, again, never had as a kid, but certainly now can live vicariously through my adult self by picking up these figures. Did I also already say that these are figures that are difficult to find? Yes, I'm sure I've already said it ad nausea, but I will say, I'll just reinstate, these are difficult to find here in Canada. I have heard some stories of people being able to find these in local Canadian stores. Not me. No how. No, sir. Wasn't able to find these. I ended up having to order these online. I don't mind doing it, but it just means that the cost of these figures are a little bit more expensive than what you would find them for in retail stores. Unlike his gimmick brother Trapjaw, who has the means to store the extra arm bits that he isn't wielding on his arm, poor Roboto here doesn't get that. So you have to decide for yourself which is your favorite of the three children, attach that to his arm, and then leave the other two and hope they don't get lost. Just by the way, though, that's the mentality you should have towards a figure's accessories, not your children. I will probably just decide for myself to display him with the arm cannon. I think that's my favorite of the three kids. Also, you'll see on the back of the packaging, speaking of that arm blaster, he's sporting it here in some really stellar looking vintage artwork, shooting pew pew that sword out of Triclops. I am super excited for Triclops. I'm super excited generally for this line as a whole. You could be of two different types of collectors for this line. The diehard collector that's going to be getting every single figure that's going to be coming out. Yeah, me, over here. Show of hands. Yeah, guy behind the camera. Or you may be just a casual collector of these that may be picking up the notable He-Man, Skeletor, and like probably the main characters you think of when you think of Masters. But I do like the fact that Mattel is really running with this line, not only giving us those main-tiered characters, but also giving us sort of the B's and the C-tier characters as well. I guess I sort of would put Roboto more in this C tier. Sorry, Roboto. He's still a good-looking figure, and I like that he maintains that same gimmick that the original vintage figure had. And I don't like the fact that when we did start getting those classic line figures, that they really just got rid of and ditched a lot of the gimmicks just in favor of a figure that had a lot of times just more swappable parts. Going back to basics, going back to that original vintage line, the Origins doesn't do that. It keeps those gimmicks intact with all the working gears and enjoyment that you would get out of rotating Roboto's waist and seeing his mouth open and close for some nourishment. Yum, 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 yum. What do you guys think of Roboto? Let me know down below in the comments section. And if you are a Canadian fellow collector, let me know down below in the comment section if you've managed to be finding any of these in local retail stores. I've been checking around and I've been finding squat. I have been checking around online, and unfortunately, it seems as quickly as they pop up, people are scooping them up and they're selling out. Double boo. Needless to say, let me know what you guys think of the figure down below. If you are new to this channel, be sure to hit the subscribe button down below. Be sure to turn the bell notification on. Yeah, do that. That's always a crucial thing. Yeah, by all means, come back to this channel, because not only are we going to be having a look at She-Ra being the last of this figure in this lineup, but there's also going to be a ton of other videos coming your way as well. And as always, thanks for watching. I'll see you guys next time.